when I see that, though, it begins to prepare my mind for something. I think about it. Anybody who has ever trained to do anything, a big part of your training is getting your mind to understand what your body can actually do. You can't look at me and tell now, but I ran a marathon about a year ago. And the hardest part of running a marathon is not moving your feet. It is convincing your brain that, no, 6 more miles is fine. Yes, we've run 20, but 6 more will be just fine. Okay? And so it is about preparing your mind and getting your mind in line with the truth. Over in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 14. It's here on the screen. Paul, in the context of talking about spiritual battles against the enemy, says, "Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth." Okay? So he is saying, just like Peter's analogy, get ready. How do you get ready? You got to have the truth. So that's the first part. Now, next part, be sober. Go back to 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13. Be sober. Whenever you mention be sober, what do you think of? Drunk. You got sober and you have drunk. And they don't hang out in the same neighborhood, do they? All right. Now, when I speak of sober and drunk, I'm typically in our culture, in our atmosphere, I'm talking about the use and consumption of alcohol. So you go from being totally normal you to on alcohol you, and you're controlled by the work of alcohol in your body. You're drunk. Okay? That's not the only thing that can be the differentiation between sober and drunk. Okay? There are other things that attribute to that. There are other things that cause the same kind of problem. But when I bring that up, that's what we think, right? How many of you, if I say sober and I say drunk, how many of you don't think of alcohol? You know, but most of us do. Most of us say sober and drunk, I'm probably thinking of alcohol. And so when I see that word there, I want you to see that he means something deeper than just don't go get drunk off of alcohol tonight. He means something deeper. There's something more important there. But what happens is when you get drunk, one of the things that happens to you is it begins to affect several things about you. Your perception of reality is skewed by what you have taken into your body. Now, how could that be applied spiritually? How could we understand that spiritually? Now, here's what he's trying to paint a picture of. If I'm to be sober, then what I allow to come into my mind, I've got to start to recognize that everything I allow into my mind has an effect on me. Everything. Okay, the TV show that I watch, it has an effect on me. The music that I listen to, it has an effect on me. The sermon that I listen to online, it has an effect on me. All right, so all these things that I allow into my mind have an effect on me. But there are things that affect me positively in my relationship with Jesus, and there are things that do not affect me positively in my relationship with Jesus, right? I mean, not every television show is about growing me in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ. Amen? Okay? So, some of you are like, no, I really think all of them are. They're all good. So, if I'm to be sober, then I have to begin to recognize that I can't get drunk on the things that distract me from what Jesus is drawing me towards. So, how does that look? How many of you have ever sat down in front of the television and made this face? Anybody? Some of you are looking at each other like, I've seen that face. It's him every night from 5:35 to 7:45. Vicky, you're getting me now. All right. So, Is there anything wrong with ever occasionally watching something on television that's edifying? No. Is there something wrong if every day the way that you self-medicate to get through your day is instead of having a time to focus on Jesus, you come in and turn your attention to something that brings you a state of spiritual drunkenness to get you through what you went through that day and in preparation for what's coming the next day? That's not a good thing. Okay? And we live in a culture that's all, yeah, but you need me time, you need downtime, you need recoup time. And the reality is, those are things that are largely pushed on us by our culture because they don't have Jesus to be that for them. Now, I don't mean you got to get out your Greek New Testament and you got to get in there and you got to figure out how to parse verbs, because that's very important to your spiritual growth. What I do mean is there is a way to take all the time that you have and focus it on Jesus and not just do this. Everything that we do, we have an opportunity to either do it soberly or in drunkenness. And if you think about this in a very real way, a very personal way, for your own life, there are so many things in our lives that we use to get drunk on spiritually to help us cope with what's going on. And when I do that, I'm not being sober. Why do I need to be sober? Because when I go through my everyday life, when something bad comes into my life, like Paul said was going to happen, when that comes into my life, a part of my preparation and being ready for it is I got to be sober when it hits me. If I'm drunk when it hits me, I'm not going to react the right way. And so I got to have that focus that begins to bring me into a lifestyle of sobriety. And so when I see that there, it's important for us to take that in and understand that. And it's such a difficult concept for us as a culture because we almost can't divorce the idea of sober and drunkenness from alcohol. Spiritually speaking, I'm asking you, leave alcohol to the side. That is a different subject. The Bible is also very clear about that. Drunkenness by alcohol is a sin against God according to the truth, His Word. But it's also a problem, a sin for us as Christians to be getting drunk spiritually on everything else that will numb us to what God's trying to show us. Same problem, okay? Here's your imperative for the verse. So rest your hope fully on the grace that is to be brought to you. Now, what does it mean to rest your hope fully? I want you to take your Bibles and go to the greatest chapter in the entire Bible. Where are we going? Romans 8. That's exactly right. All of the Bible is equally good. I just happen to love Romans 8. Romans chapter 8, and look in verse 23. Not only that, but we also, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves, groan within ourselves, eagerly waiting for the adoption, the redemption of our body. And in the context of everything that Paul's been talking about, he's talking about that Christians long for the day when we will no longer sin or be affected by sin around us anymore. Jeff, thank you, Jeff, but did anybody else hear that? Christians long for the day when they won't sin anymore or be affected by anyone else's sin. Right, okay, we're cool with not wanting sin anymore, right? We're there, right? That's where I want to be. I don't want to be around sin and its effects any longer. Looking forward to that day. Verse 24, for we were saved in this hope. What hope? That hope that one day all this will be over. But look at that, verse 24. But hope that is seen is not hope. For why does one still hope for what he sees? You say, what is he talking about there? What he's saying is, we're hoping for it because we don't have it all yet. If we had it all, why would we hope for it? Okay? Give you an example. Okay? These are the keys to a luxurious 1995 Ford F-150, four-wheel drive, 5-speed, 5.0, with 190-some-odd thousand miles on it. A dent in the tailgate. All right? Now, do I hope that I have these keys? No, I got them. They're right here. But hoping would be if I didn't have these, I didn't have a truck, and you said, Martin, you got a truck yet? No, man, I hope I get one in the next couple of weeks. So I got to stumble across, somebody I can take advantage of and get a good deal on it. And so I hadn't found that yet. And so, but if I've got it, I'm not hoping for it. I've got it. And what Paul is saying, we don't got it all just yet. Anybody in here, you still struggle with your own personal sin. You ain't got it all just yet. Anybody in here in the last 48 hours been affected by the sin of another person? You ain't got it all yet. Okay? And he's saying, so if you're hoping for it, you don't have it yet, it's important. Verse 25. But if we hope for what we do not see, look at these two things. We eagerly wait for it with perseverance or endurance or keeping going with it. And so when I'm hoping for something, this past week, our family was blessed with a stomach virus. And we blessed you by not coming. So you're welcome. Okay? But all week long, Nate started on Monday. Is that right? Nate started on Monday. And we were hoping to be at prayer meeting on Friday night. That was our hope. Friday night came and Friday night went. We couldn't come because we didn't want to share. We're selfish. So, I hoped for something. It got here, and did I get it? No. Okay. So, is that the kind of hope that he's talking about in this chapter? No. What he's talking about is a hope that I know that this is coming down the road. I know this is coming. My hope is I'm just having to wait till it gets here. It's not that, oh, geez, I hope so. My dad used to use the expression. People say, Dad's a great evangelist. He'd ask people, say, are you saved? He said, I hope so. He said, well, you hope you're a man? Dad's a little forward. And so, there's a hope, like I hope that I win $1 million on the way home for just driving down the road. Probably not going to happen though, is it? Okay, but my hope about this whole total salvation that is promised in the first 12 verses of 1 Peter chapter 1, my hope there is not, I hope it happens, but it is the fuel that keeps me going and enduring and persevering until I get it. In other words, I would quit if I didn't believe it was really out there. And I would. If there is no heaven, if there is no inheritance, if there is no Jesus at the end of my life, I'm walking away tomorrow. But the thing is, my heart is so totally convinced that there is. And I have seen God do things in my life that you can't explain away no matter how much time in your life you spent trying to. That I look at that and I go, I'm going to see him one day. And somebody says, you mean you hope you'll see him one day? So yeah, I hope I'll see him one day. As in the fuel that's going to get me there. But it ain't I hope. I don't know if he's there or not. I'm not worried about that. You say, how can you be that way if you've never seen him? Well, I'll tell you.